Folks, welcome back. I was talking with two young guys today, mid-20s, and they were asking me lots of good questions about my relationship. And one of the things that sort of perked up one of the guys' mind went on alert when I was talking about how both of the women in my lives took great pride in serving me food. My current, the love of my life, wants to always make sure that I am well fed, and she takes this incredible attentive satisfaction in seeming to know that I need to eat even before I'm thinking about it. Maybe because I'm a poet, philosopher, and my mind's in the clouds. Maybe because I'm, writing and I'm obsessed with my work, and she but for whatever reasons, that her feminine nature has this antenna about food, and of course she's the food preparer in our home, so she's always thinking about that. But one thing that is very, very special that I've noticed, and I'm I'm at midlife. I'm in my mid-50s, and I happen to have an interest in this, so I do note it and pay attention to it. And for all you young guys listening, when I do have something special, I do my best to try to recognize it and to remind her how special it is. Like right now, she's away on a trip, and I am a typical buffoon. There's no food in the house. Whatever there was here is gone, and I don't seem to care. I'll find a carrot and a piece of cheese, but she cares deeply about this, and she cares deeply about my satisfaction around food. So what I notice with Svetlana is that she will literally watch the pleasure that I have with eating food. In fact, if I'm not having pleasure, she's going to feel less satisfied herself. She's going to feel less of a woman. She's going to feel less of, wow. And let me put that in a positive way. She takes great pleasure in making incredible food, so that I am really pleased, and I think I'm pretty simple. But when I talked about the pleasure she takes in serving me food, these guys both brought up. No, one of the guys brought up that was an issue in his relationship, and what he said was his woman never offers to make food for him. And this is a cultural thing. When my children's mothers passed, and we had a very traditional family relationship. I think I've gone on to that before, but I can talk about it more. But when my wife passed, when my children's mother passed, I've always had an attraction for a woman who wants to and enjoys serving me food. I think it's one of the most beautiful things in the male-female pair bond. It's just a real special thing, and it's very similar to me finding women who instinctively, intuitively, and rationally and cognitively love me being their protector and their provider. But let's just focus on protector because there's less argument there. There's a I want to say centrifugal. There's like a symbiotic. There's a balance there that's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced in my life. But culturally, women today, for the last 4 or 5 decades, have been raised with a misplaced feminism. And that misplaced feminism has killed the instincts and natural, intuitive nature of a woman finding power in her ability to please her man in all forms, in all ways. But please him with food is something that's so prevalent and so obvious. There's this Nazi feminist ideology, which is, what? You think I'm going to stay at home and prepare food for you so when you come home you can have a hot meal waiting for you? What? You think that I should do that for you more than you should do that for me? And I say this is misplaced because behind it is this idea of equality. And I've told you, I've said it again and again and again, you've got to get equality out of the equation. There is no such thing in nature. There is no such thing in nature. Men and women are not equal at all. Does that mean that men's intelligence is better than women's? No. Does it mean that women's intelligence is better than men? No. It means that each one of us have our own biological differences and emotional, psychic differences that have nothing to do with culture, that have everything to do with biology. And I could dedicate hours and hours and hours to this, but there's books and books and books. If you want to really understand this, just study evolutionary history, study primate biology, study anthropology, look at primitive cultures, and then just start asking yourself the question, do I feel okay as a woman serving my man food? Is my natural instinct to please my man? If my natural instinct is to please my man, and if pleasing him means feeding him, because I can't be giving him sex all the time like he wants, so why not give him food? It's pretty basic, primal stuff. So let's call him Jonathan. Jonathan says to me, my woman doesn't feed me, but she likes me to make her coffee. She likes me to feed her. So I'm born in 1962 to my sons born in 1990, 1994, and 2000. It's a dramatic change where feminism has been trying to soften male aggression, soften male domination, soften male expectation of what a woman will give to him. And we've had this confusion now. We have this confusion. These guys could tell me privately that that's what they wanted, but they weren't ready yet to hold up the sword and say that's what I'm going to demand. But I told them it's linked to the fact that you guys also aren't ready to be the provider protector which deserves your woman serving you a plate of food because you're doing all these other things, and she's honoring that, and she's respecting that, and she's giving you love in her way for giving her love in your way. So there's a balance. There's a balance there. But this brought up the question of mate selection. And what I'm trying to do is what Martin tried to do with me and actually succeeded, is get us all to first ask ourselves, is this the right person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? And for a woman, that means, is this going to be a man who's going to be able to provide for myself and a child when that child comes, so that I can be the mother I'm born to be and give my child the best start in life. So if we look at this, women, from the standpoint of I'm taking care of my man because he's taking care of me, I'm serving my man food so my man can be a good provider and protector for myself and the child. Any woman who has been left to raise a child by herself understands the primary value of needing a man to give her the space to be the mother she needs to be, at least for a certain amount of time. So for me, that minimal time is 3 years. If I were to say it ideally, I would say 5 to 7 years. And what I mean by that is that first 3 to 5 to 7 years is the primary role of the woman to be with the child. If you don't understand this, women, and if you don't understand the first 3 years of life, you need to study it. You need to get in touch with what infant psychology is telling us about the critical brain development, the critical need for that infant to bond with the mother, the whole stability that is needed to provide for the child is far more important than anyone's career, far more important than anyone's work outside of motherhood. And that really comes from women first. So mate selection means if I'm a man, I have to ask myself, is this the right woman for me? But I also have to pay attention to the red flags. And I look one step further, which is, you either got to find out your woman's psyche and philosophy, and you also have to look at how she was raised. And you women have to look the same at your men. What's the background of this man? What's the backbone that this man has, that he's father and his mother and his grandfather and grandmother support the kind of provider, protector role that you're going to need when you have children. If we're talking about relationship outside of children, where no children exist, that's a whole nother conversation. There's a lot of similarities, and then there's a lot of differences. So that's it for now. What I'd like everybody to focus on is how does a man serve his woman best? And to me, a man doesn't serve his woman best by trying to be a woman and give a woman what she instinctively will want to give a man if she is raised to be free to be in touch with her femininity. And how does a woman serve a man? And a woman doesn't serve a man by trying to be a man, or try to be like a man, or try to be equal to a man. In fact,